Frequency. 80% of people always mix up frequency and intensity. I figured that out because people always said, how high is the frequency? I said, what do you mean, how high is the frequency? Yeah, how strong is the field? The strength of the field is not defined by frequency. You know, by hertz. The strength of the field is designed by, let's go back, oops, what's the wrong direction, sorry. The strength of the field is defined by Tesla, or who said it? Gauss. Gauss is the old value. They changed it to Tesla. Okay, for you to write down, 1 Gauss equals 100 microtesla. So whenever you jump over Gauss, over a value, just remember 1 Gauss equals 100 microtesla. So the average good value intensity of a magnetic field is between 0.1 and 1 Gauss, and not higher. A lot of PMF manufacturers, they advertise, we have the higher intensities. We are so high in intensity. Well, that doesn't say any good. Be careful, because intensity is not a crucial parameter. It shouldn't be too high if exposed to the whole body. It's a different story when we talk about punctual therapeutic approach, RTMS, where we only trigger a very specific part, a very specific spot. Then we may work with this. But if we use it in a whole body mat for a holistic approach, less is more, consistency beats intensity. So, and frequency, not to mix it up anymore, I tell you an analogy and then you will never mix it up anymore. Okay? When you look for your favorite radio station, what do you do first? You tune it. You look for the frequency, 91.4, 98.6, 99 point whatever. So, once you found it, what do you do next? You adjust the volume, intensity. So, what happens with the frequency when you turn up the volume? It stays the same. So, frequency is the content of the information. And volume is the intensity of the content of the information. Does it make sense? Okay, again. Frequency is the radio station. Volume is how you would like to get exposed to that frequency. A little bit more noisy or a little bit more calm, so you adjust that. By the way, it's not every day the same. Sometimes in the morning you need a little bit of relaxed music. Sometimes a little bit of AC/DC is doing the job. Because we are not always reacting the same. And this is also how we experience energy medicine. There is no super protocol. Because actually it more or less depends always on what we did yesterday, what we drink yesterday, what was in our mind yesterday, how we felt, and so on and so on. And that's why it's always better to put consistency prior to intensity. Because sometimes a high intensity can do no good things to you. Not that it creates a side effect or it harms you. It just leaves you with not a good feeling. Because you activate things which you don't want to activate at that moment. And that's why I keep it gentle, you know. 2 minutes per day, 2 times, 7 days, you know, no matter if you eat a little bit more or you less, your teeth will always be clean. Right? So this is the way how to approach energy medicine. So, the body responds best to its own cell frequencies. It makes total sense. You can only understand and respond to something what you already know. Wenn ich jetzt Deutsch spreche, dann ist vorbei. Schluss mit lustig. Dann versteht mich keiner mehr. You see what I did? I didn't change the volume, but I changed the frequency. And suddenly, because I spoke German to you. And maybe, do we have somebody speaking German, understanding German? So, did I speak German? Did you get something? I spoke German. I promise you I did. But of course you have to check out, because most of you don't understand German. And then you can suddenly not resonate with me anymore. This is the same, you know. If you want a PMF system to deliver frequencies which you are capable of resonating with, they have to be within a certain window. And if they are not, forget it, scam. You know, and let's have a look. What kind of natural frequencies we have around us? I mentioned already the Schumann resonances. To look where we're at. Okay, we're still good. The Schumann resonance is 7.83 Hertz. Where does it come from? Well, it's quite simple. Little picture. That's our Mother Earth. That's me and you. We are standing on our planet, on the surface. And we are surrounded by a lot of frequencies. You know, right now, everybody is exposing frequencies. Everybody is receiving frequencies. We have 5,000 TV channels in this room right now. We just cannot see them because we don't have an organ. But if we would have a little gadget which could capture them and put it on a screen, we would see, I don't know, Sportsnet, TSN, whatsoever. And make it visible. But we cannot. So, all these informations are around us. You know, and if we look a little bit back before electricity was invented, and we speak about a time frame of about 120 years ago, which is quite nothing in terms of the history of our planet. Imagine 120 years ago and before, there was no artificial frequencies around us. It was only the natural ones. The carrier frequency from the Earth magnetic field, which is nowadays scientifically calculated, 11.75 to 11.7 Hertz. Very low frequency and quite stable. And remember that number, not in particular, but at least remember the 11.75 to 11.78 Hertz. Then we have the Schumann resonance. By the way, the Schumann resonance is the so-called carrier frequency of the ionosphere. And the ionosphere is the space between the surface of our planet and the exit to the stratospheres. Everything beyond that blue line here. This is where the astronauts go, where there is no gravity anymore, no oxygen, no light, almost no light. This is actually an environment we cannot thrive and survive anymore because we are not designed for that. Right? But the space between here and here, this is the ionosphere, and interestingly and surprisingly, there is a frequency flying around, and this frequency is very stable. And the guy Schumann, this was at a time when the Germans were still on top of the world. Yeah, I'm not so proud to say this, but it's what's happening. A German physicist, and he figured that out. That there is a frequency, very stable, 7.83 Hertz. You know? And one of the main causes of this frequency is the so-called spherics. Maybe you heard about the spherics. The weather, the lightning strikes. Everything what's going on when we look up, you know, and have these heavy thunderstorms and stuff like that. They create energy. And the cool thing is, this energy is quite stable. So it seems like that our entire system, not talking about the system we established on this planet, we talk about everything around our planet, until probably the furthest away galaxy, is a quite well-functioning ecosystem with very, very precise information content. And one of them is the Schumann resonance. And it's quite stable. And interestingly, because now we know it, you can Google that. The Schumann resonances are observed 24/7. There are a lot of laboratories in the world, they do that. You know, and they also figured out that there are fluctuations. You know, and whenever there are fluctuations, for example, we have a weather phenomenon in Switzerland, we call it Föhn. It's when these extremely high temperatures suddenly hit, even in the winter, you know, for maybe just a couple hours, you know, and then people get headaches. There's another German word, wetterfühlig. I translate it, I feel the weather. You know, those are people, when the weather is changing dramatically, they get headaches. And I'm sure you have this here too. Those are the fluctuations in the Schumann resonances. Because suddenly we are exposed to frequencies where some people have a challenge to deal with it. And they create symptoms out of that. Not everybody is exposed to it, but a lot of people have this problem, you know. And whenever the frequency system in our ecosystem, whenever the frequencies are not aligned anymore and have tiny discrepancies, then it already creates an impact on our organism. So, now let's speak about PMF. If you would like your PMF to align with the natural frequencies, which are good for us, and which we react positively, well, you better build it in. Right? And you better expose them. And that's why, you know, the carrier frequencies of the Earth magnetic field, 11.75 to 11.7 Hertz, plus the Schumann resonance, 7.83 Hertz, plus also what makes sense, we have another biomarkers which we know that they should work, they should be put in the PMF system because they also occur in your body. It's the so-called brainwaves. Alpha, beta, delta, theta. Interestingly, if you look at the ranges, they are more roughly between 0.5 and 30 Hertz. You still have some gamma frequencies sometimes, but very rarely. They go a little bit higher in frequency, but more or less the range is between 0.5 and 30 Hertz. So this looks like to be the range a PMF system should expose frequency-wise in order to create a positive effect. And obviously not all the artificial frequencies which we are surrounded by, which starts already with the current coming out of the wall, which is 60 Hertz. It's already above the biological window. Not speaking about smartphones, between 800 and in the meantime 1.6 gigahertz, 800 megahertz. You know what 1 megahertz means? A lot. 1 megahertz is 1 million hertz. It's 1 million cycles per second. And this is far out of a natural range. So those are the frequencies, they don't do good for us. If you suffer from pain because you fell on your butt, you can sit on your smartphone because you will be exposed to a pulsed electromagnetic field, but it will not be pain relieving because the exposed frequency and intensity range doesn't match your biological window, and therefore it doesn't help you. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And it even harms you. If you have your smartphone on your ear for a long time, your ear becomes warm because the thermal energy produced by the high frequency warms up your tissue. If this is an ongoing thing, you will develop a brain cancer. It's just a question of time. Because at a certain stage you will damage your brain tissue to an extent where the membrane potential of your cell cannot be put up to a level where it's healthy again. Okay?